Hi, I'm Rachel Bailey, and this is another episode of 2 Tips in 3 Minutes, where I'll give you effective, if not intuitive, strategies for handling frustrating behavior in a respectful way. Normally, I talk to you about handling your child's frustrating behavior, but today I'm going to talk about our behavior as parents. One thing that I see over and over in parents, including myself, is this fear that the mistakes that we make are going to mess up our children, that we're going to do things that have a long-term effect on our children's ability to be successful. And often that leads to overwhelm because we're trying to figure out the right way to do everything. We're trying to figure out the right way to talk to our kids, to have them involved in enough activities, but not too many, to make sure they're exposed to enough of the good things and not too much of the bad things. And of course we're worried about all of these things. After all, we're talking about raising human beings here. Human beings will have an impact on the world, and if we're being honest, human beings who are a reflection on us. And we're talking about wanting the best for people who we love so much that it takes our breath away. So for all of these reasons, we might try harder or do more research or beat ourselves up and worry when we do the wrong thing. But that doesn't actually work to make you a better parent. So here's tip number 1. Trying too hard to do the right thing actually leads to more mistakes. I'm not sure if you realize or recognize this, but stress actually negatively impacts our performance. You might remember this from school. The more stressed you are about a test, the harder it is to focus, and the worse you're probably going to do on the test. A little bit of stress is good, otherwise you don't care at all, but too much, it negatively impacts your ability to succeed. And do you know what actually has the opposite effect and boost performance? Self-compassion. Because self-compassion allows us to calm down enough to understand why we made a mistake and how to fix it. So if you have some self-compassion and recognize that everything you do has a reason, when you yell at your toddler for touching the trash even though you know he doesn't know better, it's because you're exhausted from chasing him around all day and telling him what he shouldn't be getting into. When you harshly tell your daughter that she was stupid for not studying for a test that she later failed, it's because you were worried about what might happen to her in the future. Which leads to tip number 2. Expect to make mistakes and mess up, and expect to do it a lot. Instead of worrying that your mistakes will mess up your child, use mistakes as an opportunity to demonstrate remorse and then create a connection. Not only does this take pressure off of you, which is likely to make you make fewer mistakes, but modeling mistakes is healthy. I actually used to counsel adolescents who believed that their parents were perfect because they didn't see them make any mistakes. These adolescents either tried to be perfect themselves, which is setting them up for failure, or they gave up trying completely. And even more fulfilling, in my opinion, is that mistakes don't mess children up. In fact, they can create the most amazing connections when you talk about them. Those nights when I mess up and go into my daughter's room and say to her, "Hey, do you remember when I did that thing and it really upset you?" Those create the best connections between me and my daughter. It makes her feel safe to know that we can recover after conflict, and it lets her know that love is stronger than any mistake we make. And I think that lesson is probably a pretty good prevention against messing up our kids. So that was 2 tips for ending your fear that your mistakes will mess up your child. Fill out the form that comes with this video to see how these tips apply to your situation. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer, send them to me and I'll address them in an upcoming 2 tips in 3 minutes. See you next time.